think it's leaking.
We got to replace the outdoor coil.
Tell me if you can hear it. How do you replace a leaking outdoor coil for a mini split? This right here is a ductless unit, and we found that the outdoor coil is leaking. Today I'm going to show you how to replace this outdoor coil. I'm going to talk about how we found the leak and show you what tools I used, and then I'm going to show you how to replace this coil. You're watching HVAC Tips for Technicians. I'm Tad. Let's get started. Here's our outdoor unit, and this is a 12,000 BTU AR12. So it's a 1-ton model, 230 volt. It goes with a indoor wall mount air handler just on the other side of that wall. We've got the hose and the gauges hooked up, and you can see there's no pressure. We had quite a big leak. We tried to fill it with refrigerant to keep it going while we got the outdoor coil, and this coil was under warranty, thankfully. So the customer only has to pay for the labor, which is really nice, and the labor is around 600 bucks for the install of this coil. We got the nitrogen so that we can pressure test and also braze while we're running nitrogen. That way we don't have any black oxide. Here's our connections for our outdoor coil. You can see these are the two connections that we're going to have to braze. So, and there's a sensor that goes right here on this pipe. So this is the outdoor coil. Also, this is a double coil. It can be separated. So we took a couple wire ties and wire tied it that way. It's easier to install it, and you should have some type of clamp there. There may be one on the other coil. How did we find the leak? Pretty easy. We used the Inficon TechMate refrigerant leak detector and some soap bubbles, and you can actually hear it. So it's quite a large leak. I'm gonna go ahead and take the outdoor cover off of the mini split, the top cover, and this is where the gauge is hooked up right here on the vapor hot gas suction line service port. So let's go ahead and start taking it apart, and I'm going to show you how to replace this coil. Make sure you disconnect the power, unplug the disconnect, or turn the breaker off before you begin replacing the coil. Now what we're going to do is to get to the connections that we need to cut or unbraze or unsolder, we need to take this panel off right here. So that means these screws and these two screws and then a couple screws down here. You're only going to need a Phillips screwdriver or a Phillips bit, and I've got a Phillips bit for my drill. Also, we're going to need to take these screws out, which I've almost taken those out. That way we can take and disconnect this other end of the coil. All right, we'll take these screws out. That way we can get this coil out of this mini split. Now, one thing you can do to find a leak fast is you can put your hand, make sure the power is off, in the bottom of the outdoor unit and see if there's any oil. If there's oil, that's an indication that that's where the leak is. That's the area where the unit is leaking. Do the same thing for the indoor coil. You take and put your finger in the pan. Now you have to take the unit's exterior panels off, that way you can actually get to the pan, but you can take and run your hand inside the indoor coil's pan and see if there's any oil. If there is, that could be where it's leaking. If you guys want to see a video of me doing a leak search on a mini splits indoor coil, I've got a video on that. Here's our outdoor air sensor, which is a 10 kilo ohm sensor. Remember, on these types of mini splits, we've got discharge sensor for the compressor discharge pipe, OLP sensor, which sits on the dome of the compressor, and those two are 200 kilo ohm sensors. And OLP is overload protection. And then you got two more sensors. One is outdoor ambient sensor, 10 kilo ohm, and then a coil sensor. So you'll probably see that here in a second. Now I've got, oh, careful not to round the screw off or break your bit. I just broke the bit. Disconnected the power coming in, the L1, L2, and the ground. All right. We'll get this out of the way. All right. Now, looks like I need to probably take these two screws off. All right, got that loose. Now this panel will come out a little bit. It looks like I need to take this front panel off too. All right, one screw at the bottom. One screw right here for the fan guard, and then any more? That should be it. Looks like. Oh, we got one screw here. All right. Bring this panel out, and then it's got two tabs right here. Take those out. We'll set this panel here. Oh, let it fall. Okay. Now this panel should come out. Oh, we still got a screw, and I see it. It's right here in between. Ooh. Make sure you get a screwdriver you can use to break those screws loose. All right. Loose? Yes, sir. It is loose, but it looks like I need to take all these wires off. That way I can get them out of the way. So I got to make sure I can remember. F1 is red. F2 is black. All right. Looks like we got them all. Oh, except for the ground. Probably just need to take that out. Save the screw. All right. Got to get these wires loose. All right, now should be able to pull these out. This is the power for the indoor unit, and this is the communication cable. And now that those are out of the way, now we can actually see those two connections. Looks like one is right here, and then one is down here. So we can get to both of those now. So you want to braze with nitrogen. If you don't know how to braze, I've got a video on how to braze copper using nitrogen, how to use oxyacetylene torches, and how to use a turbo torch. Go check out that video in the link in the description. I'll put that down there for you so you can learn. Since we don't have any refrigerant, we're going to go ahead and unbraze those connections. I got two screws over here that hold the coil in place. So I've got to take these two screws loose, and that's going to make this panel free. Now you can see this coil, you can move it up and down. You got two wire ties here, see those? That's the reason we added two wire ties to our coil. When you clean these coils, if it's a double coil like this, you should take it apart, because you're not going to be able to clean it efficiently if you don't take the coils apart. Now there should be two more screws over here. See, one screw here, and then there's a screw down underneath, and it looks like it's right here. Let me move my finger out of the way. Yep, see that screw right there? we got to get to that one too. So we might have to use the 90-degree angled bit that we use for the drill. That's probably what's going to work, hopefully. We'll try that. If not, then, ooh, that's just going to be tough. We may have to get a bit that we can attach to a socket and then put it in a ratchet and be able to get in there. All right, looks like we got a screw down here as well. Now, one more screw. Here's the coil sensor right here on the very bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and take out that coil sensor. That way I don't burn it, melt it. All right, so this is probably the best way to get to this screw. I'm gonna take and bend this back a little bit, run my extension and my Phillips in here. Oh, yes. It's free. It's free, man. Now, we can either unbraze those connections. Well, we're gonna have to unbraze them either way, but we can go ahead and cut them and make it a little bit easier on ourselves. I'm gonna show you that. Work smarter, not harder. You're probably not gonna be able to use these snips to cut metal if you cut copper like this. So just be aware. I'm gonna cut it because it's gonna make the job easier. Let me know if you've ever done this. So this one right here, pa-chink. This one right here, pa-chink. Oh, I cut the wrong one. I just cut the wrong one. Gosh, I'm amazing. I just cut the wrong one, man. Wow, dude. Tad, you are amazing, man. Really? All right, this one. All right, and then this one. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you cut the right one. Luckily, I didn't cut the, oh no, wrong one. So now, that coil's out of there. Got these wire ties. Take the coil. Let's go ahead and clean out the pan. Oh yeah. Wipe all that nasty dirt and oil out of there. And away from the pad as well. Clean it up a little bit. I'm going to put some soapy water in the bottom of this pan, and I'm going to use a water hose and wash it out. That's looking a lot better now. Now, before I set the new coil in place, I'm going to use my oxyacetylene torches, and I'm going to unsolder, unbraze these two connections. That way, when I put my new coil in here, everything will fit nicely together. So you'll need some adjustable pliers or some channel locks. Everything is almost ready. All right, there's one. There's two. All right. Now we can set the new coil in place. All right, looks like take this right here. And it sets in, whoa, wait a second. Goes a little further this way. All right, now, let's come over here and take out this. Ooh, that's in there. That. And take out. Oh. That. All right, and now, since we got where it's going to go, I'm going to take and bend the copper down a little bit so it's got some tension, lift it back up, and stick it in the hole. And if it doesn't fit, like that is not fitting, then I can use a swaging tool. Spin Products, they make a swaging tool. It's really nice, fits right in the drill. I'll put a link in the description to that, and if you want to learn how to use it, make a flare, make a swage, I'll put a video down below for you. So, all right, let's see if the other one will go in. Looks like that one will go in. I just need to heat it up. This one, it may go in with some heat, but I don't think so. So, there. Let's see. There, that'll go in. All right, so they're both, oh yeah, they're both in there. All right, now we got the nitrogen hooked up. We're gonna get a low flow regulator and we're gonna braze while we flow nitrogen. All right, got a little bit of nitrogen flowing. Let's go ahead and fire up the torch. Go ahead and bend our stick of solder. Put a little piece on there, see if it melts. When it does, go all the way around like butter. That one's good. Let's make sure, check our nitrogen. Okay, our nitrogen just went down to 0. I got to bring it back up. Coming back up. Oh, too much. Back down. Back down. Back down. All right, that's good. On there, see when it melts. Oh yeah, it's melting. Alright, I'm going to change positions. Alright, that's it. Didn't take very long. Now I'm going to add nitrogen and do a pressure test. Oh, don't need any going in that now. Release that. All right, we're just going through the low side. All right, there's 100, there's 200. 300. Together. So right now we got 300 and looks like 20 pounds of pressure. Take my soap bubbles, spray both of my connections, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. We'll wait about 15 minutes. Check both those connections, put it back together, and then we'll start pulling a vacuum. Looks like it's holding right at 320. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the vacuum pump, start pulling a vacuum, and I've already started to put it together. So we're almost ready to fire it up. Can't forget to put the coil sensor back in place. Bend that piece of metal up. There we go. Letting all the nitrogen out, and then we're going to pull a vacuum. All right, that's almost the last of the nitrogen. So I'm going to go ahead and close this valve, open the valve to the vacuum pump, open this line here because it's connected to the low side or hot gas vapor line valve. Turn the pump on. All right, there's the vacuum pump going. Pulling into a vacuum. We're using the adapter cord, stealing power or taking power from the disconnect. All right, we'll let it pump down and put the rest of the equipment together. All right, almost got the unit put back together. We got the power wire for this unit, power wire to the indoor, and communication wire from the outdoor to indoor connected. Ground wires connected, outdoor ambient sensors in place. Now we're just putting the rest of the screws for the top on, and our vacuum pump is almost done. We are below 1,000 microns now, so that's nice. All right, got the scales and the refrigerant set on the scales, zeroed out. And how much refrigerant do we need? 35 ounces, divide that by 16, a little over 2 pounds. Bleed the line, and we're gonna go ahead and open this up. All right. Adding refrigerant. All right, we got 2 pounds. I'm gonna put about 2.2, and we're almost there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and close the valve. Plug the power back in, plug the disconnect back in, and let's turn it on cooling, make sure it works. Plug the disconnect back in. I posted a link to a video down below so you can learn how to replace an indoor coil for a wall mount air handler. I've also got a video on how to replace an indoor motor for a mini split, a ductless wall mount air handler. So go check out that video if you want to learn more. It's running, it's working. Just check the temperature split. It's 20 degrees. It's in the cooling mode. If you guys want to learn how to work on mini splits, I've got a video titled How to Work on Mini Splits. It's a great introduction for a beginner who knows nothing about mini splits, talking about the various problems that you can have, talking about charging, talking about the components, a complete breakdown of how the mini split is put together and the problems that I run into in the field for mini splits. If you want more videos like this, go check out my playlist, HVAC Tips for Technicians. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and smash that bell, ding, so you know what I'm doing. You've been watching HVAC Tips for Technicians. I'm Tad, and I'll keep you cool if you let me.